welcome to day 7 of Bookmas. As it's the end of the first week, I thought we would celebrate by looking ahead to next year, and I thought it would be a great time to talk about my 2021 anticipated releases. So these are 10 books that I'm really looking forward to that are coming out in 2021. I do have 2 honourable mentions that are supposed to be coming out in 2021, but I'm not sure whether they're actually going to make it or not. And that is Crescent City number 2 by Sarah J Maas and the 6th Red Rising book, because everybody said that was meant to be coming out this year and then it didn't, and then I'm hoping it will be next year. Whether it will or not, it remains to be seen. But if those 2 are announced and do end up coming out in 2021, they are my most anticipated. It's just there's no news on either of them, so there's a good chance that they won't be. But other than those, these are the 10 books I'm most looking forward to that are being published in the next 12 months. And I'm going to do them in order of publication date, so you can get excited and you can add them to your TBRs and get excited with me. So the first book I'd like to talk about today is Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas, which comes out on January 12th. This is the prequel to The Hate You Give, and it's following Star's father as he finds out that he's going to become a dad, and he has to deal with the fact that he's going to be a young father, and he's also still kind of involved in some gang activities, it seems. So Star is the main character in The Hate You Give, and her father Maverick is such a brilliant character in that book, because you get to see the way that he's like kind of changed his life and turned it around, and he's just got his little bodega and he's kind of made something of himself, and he's such a huge part of the community. But he's also got a lot of respect because of his past, so it'll be brilliant to explore his past. It's strange because this book's kind of being counted as like historical fiction, even though it's set in the 90s, and like that was when we were born. That's crazy. Times have changed. A time before smartphones, yes, Sean's right, it's the time before smartphones, so that does count as historical. The next book I'd like to talk about today is The Girls I've Been by Tess Sharp, which publishes on January 26th. This is a book about a bisexual main character. Her and her boyfriend break up. He catches her with their like other best friend, and it looks like they're gonna have a relationship developing throughout, but then it's really awkward because the 3 friends have to go to the bank together to, I think, cash a check for some kind of fundraising thing they're doing with their school, and they get caught up in a bank robbery. So that sounds like it's going to be a wild ride. The main character is also the daughter of like a con woman, so she knows all about like pretending to be other people and like changing her identity and stuff. So there's a lot going on in this one, but it sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. Tess Sharp's Far From You was one of the best books I've ever read, and I think the bisexual representation in that book is the best bisexual representation I've ever read, so I'm looking forward to reading another book from her featuring a bisexual main character. The next book I'm really looking forward to is The Project by Courtney Summers, which comes out on the 2nd of February. This follows a girl who is a journalist, and her sister gets involved in a cult, and she is kind of doing an investigation into the cult in the attempt to save her sister. I've heard a lot of good early reviews for this one, and I've heard a lot of good things about Courtney Summers' writing in the past, even though I haven't read any of her novels yet. I know that Lala from Books and Lala, she's like one of her favourite authors, and she's been really hyping this one up even since the title was revealed. So I'm looking forward to finally getting to see what this one's about. I always like reading books about cults, but I find it very hard for them to impress me. Like, After the Fire by Will Hill is still one of the best kind of cult books that I've read, but there have been so many that I've read this year that have just completely disappointed me. So I'm hoping that this is going to be another one to add into the good pile. I love the concept. It just takes such a lot of effort to execute it properly. And I think so many people do it lazily, and so many people do it in a way that it just doesn't make a lot of sense. And I just like it when it makes more sense. The Girls by Emma Cline, that's another good one. That is the peak. So if you're interested in cult books and you find the same as me, that you find a lot of disappointing ones, if you haven't tried The Girls or After the Fire yet, those are 2 very good recommendations. The next book I'm excited for is Game Changer by Neil Shusterman, which comes out on the 9th of February. This is a standalone novel about a boy who gets injured during a football game, and he like wakes up in an alternate universe, and then he's like falling through universes. Which sounds like a wild ride. It sounds very different to the arc of the Scythe series, and that is like, I've read those books by Neil Shusterman, and I've also read Dry by Neil Shusterman, and I gave all of them 5 stars, and I love his writing, and I'm going to read everything that he releases. This one sounds like it's going to be very, very different, but I'm lucky enough to have received an ARC of this one through NetGalley, so I'm going to be reading it before publication and hopefully enjoying it. Also, it's just got a really, really cool cover. Like, that's such a cool cover. I love the brightness of the colours, and I think it definitely grabs your attention. The next book I can't wait to get my hands on is Bridge of Souls by Victoria Schwab, which is publishing on the 2nd of March. This is the 3rd book in the Cassidy Blake series. It's a middle grade set of stories following a girl who can talk to ghosts and her parents as they travel the globe exploring haunted locations to film for their TV show. So the first book was set in Scotland, the second book was set in France. As far as I'm aware, this book is set in Mexico. I might be wrong. I can remember seeing that back way before the title had even been released. But this one was meant to be out in September, and I always pre-order these books and give them to Sean for his birthday, but because of COVID and everything, it got pushed back to March, so we're going to be buying it as soon as it comes out and devouring it probably in one sitting. Another book that publishes on the 2nd of March is Red Tigress by Amelia Wenzhou. This is the sequel to Blood Heir. I really enjoyed the first book. I gave it 4 stars. I wasn't anticipating enjoying it as much as I did, but I'm really looking forward to where this series goes, because there's a lot of potential. There's an interesting romance between the 2 main characters that it feels like it's going towards a romance, but it also still might not. Like, it's at that interesting stage where you can't really see how it's going to go. The first book had quite a lot of YA tropes, even though in the UK it's being marketed as adult, but in America it's being marketed as YA. So I'm looking forward to seeing whether Amelia Wenzhou goes more down the adult route or kind of goes back towards the YA route. This is the 2nd book in the trilogy, and it's definitely one that I'm going to be pre-ordering and reading as soon as I can. The next book I'm really excited to read is Witches Steeped in Gold by Shannon Smart. This is out on April 20th. By the sounds of this, they're enemies. They're witches. They hate each other, but then they have to like team up together to take down one of their mums, and then it also sounds like it's going to be like a sapphic romance as well. There's just a lot about this that excites me. As soon as the cover was revealed, I was really, really interested in it because I think the cover is gorgeous. The concept sounds amazing. I always like witches, even though I normally end up hating witch stories. I always love reading them, and I'm always excited to read new authors as well, and I think that this is Shannon Smart's debut, so I'm looking forward to discovering a new author there. The next book I'm really excited about is Mr. Impossible by Maggie Stiefvater, which comes out on the 18th of May. This is the 2nd book in the Dreamer trilogy, which follows Call Down the Hawk. So it's following Ronan and Adam, who are from the Raven cycle, and then there's also some new characters who've been introduced. Call Down the Hawk left off on such a cliffhanger that I just wanted to read the next book straight away, and I'm really, really looking forward to getting to this one. I'm glad that I'm caught up with these so that I can read them as they come out, but I also can't wait for the 3rd one to be out so that I can just binge them, because where you get a lot of cliffhangers, it will be interesting to see how smoothly the story kind of weaves from one book to the next. The next book I'm really excited about is Once Upon a Crime by Robin Stevens, which comes out on the 5th of August. This is the next collection of short stories in the Murder Most Unladylike series. So we're going to get The Case of the Drowned Pearl and The Case of the Missing Treasure, which were 2 short stories which were released for Waterstones and for World Book Day respectively. And it's going to also feature some new short stories following Daisy and Hazel. I'm nearly done with the Murder Most Unladylike series. I've just got Death Set Sail to read, which is the final book. So I'm glad that there are going to be more stories following Daisy and Hazel, especially because the next series that Robin Stevens is writing, which sounds like it's kind of a companion series, which is The Ministry of Unladylike Activity, isn't coming out until 2022. So there wasn't going to be a Robin Stevens release next year. But now there is, and I'm so happy about it. And the last anticipated book that I'd like to talk about today is Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune, which comes out on the 21st of September. TJ Klune is the author of The House in the Cerulean Sea, which a lot of people have been recommending as kind of a middle grade story for adults. So it's like a combination of adult and middle grade. It's got like the adult themes, but then it's got the middle grade kind of whimsical storytelling style. And this one is about a man who dies and he doesn't want to pass on to the other side, and then he ends up falling in love with his ferryman. So not only is this like a male-male romance, there's a lot of kind of supernatural elements to it, and I think there's going to be some interesting discussions about death and kind of the meaning of life. The cover is also adorably whimsical, and it just sounds like it's going to be exactly my cup of tea. And that is the 10 books that I am most excited about reading in 2021. I'd also like to do another quick shout out to A Good Girl's Guide to Murder Book 3. of which there is no information either. So that is another honourable mention that I forgot to mention at the beginning of the video. We've also got A Tangle of Spells by Michelle Harrison, which is out on the 5th of February, which is the 3rd book in the Pinch of Magic series. And we've also got Any Way the Wind Blows by Rainbow Rowell, which is the 3rd book in the Simon Snow series. I'm still not sure whether I'm going to actually read this one, because I really didn't like Wayward Son, which was the 2nd book in the series. But because I'm already 2 out with the 3, I might just finish it off. But those are some other honourable mentions that I'd like to recommend. There's just a lot of books I'm excited about in 2021, and it was hard to narrow it down to 10. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you found something that you can add to your TBR. Please let me know down in the comments, out of all of the books I've mentioned in this video, which book you are most excited about reading, and whether there are any 2021 releases that I haven't mentioned that you are really excited about that I can get on my radar. And we will see you tomorrow with another video. Bye!